As the Coachella Valley continues to grow as an entertainment and cultural empire in the California desert cities, Mutual 111 is your go-to for local and regional arts, literature, music, special events, and theater. From the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Palm Springs, it's The Desert Scene with Bonnie G.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. Happy to have you here, and happy to welcome to the show Melissa Dollman and Devin Orgeron. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. From Deserted Films, and they have this project coming up, Holiday Oddities, coming up at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Bonnie. It's nice to be here.
Thank you.
So tell us about Deserted Films, and how did you get that name for the company?
Well, it's a nonprofit, and we're located here in Palm Springs, and essentially our mission is to rescue, in some ways, non-theatrical films, especially home movies that were shot in and around the Palm Springs area. So during the kind of heyday of home movie making, so films shot on 8mm and Super 8 and 16mm often find their ways into thrift stores or to estate sales. Sometimes they find their way into people's attics and are long forgotten. And our mission is to sort of find those and collect them and care for them and digitize them, and then to bring them out to the public. And that's sort of what Deserted Films is about, and it's also what the shows that we do around the area sort of focus on, is showing these artifacts to folks that have never seen them before, and to see the desert kind of in a new light, or a long gone light in some ways.
Palm Springs is so focused on celebrities often that we really want to focus on the everyday person, the everyday traveler, the snowbirds who come back, the people passing through town, and locals.
And so are these are all like personal, private home movies, and all these people are happy to let them be seen by the public? How does that work? This sort of permission and to show these. How does that whole process work?
Right. Well, often the situation is these films have been kind of abandoned by their previous owners, and we do because we're both. Melissa's a trained archivist, and I'm a film scholar, and we both do due diligence and try and find the people who are in the films and ask for permission. And on a few occasions, we've gotten that permission. And for the most part, what we're doing is showing them. I think in the larger sense, we're showing them for kind of educational purposes, and we're not really focused so much on the people as we are on the landscape. Although I will say, the people that you glimpse in these home movies are the thing that people really respond to. The smiles on people's faces and the sort of joy and their kind of the sort of expressions that we have in common are really the thing that really seem to hook audiences into these materials. But yes, they are private films, and they're films that were initially intended for a very different context, right? They were shown in the house, sometimes only once before they went up into an attic or somebody's in the shoebox in somebody's closet. And so we're kind of resurrecting them and putting them through a slightly different, or putting them into a slightly different context.
And we do a lot of research if we can find details in the films. Maybe, for instance, there was a last name on a mailbox and an address, and a few Google searches and some newspapers.com, and you have a little story. So if we can't find them, we do try to tell a story about them as much as we can find publicly about them.
Yeah.
And have you found, of all of the films that you have found in this whole project, a pretty wide variety of coverage of different parts of the desert and different interesting places to go? Is it a wide variety of the desert, and not just focused sort of all in a certain area of Palm Springs?
It really is, and in fact, we had to really, as soon as we started, we thought we really need to sort of broaden this out to sort of encompass Southern California generally, but really we're focused kind of on the desert cities and on the Coachella Valley in particular. So we have really great films that take place in the high desert. We have some really great footage of Indio and of thermal in the 1960s, and we have a lot of footage of Banning and Palm Springs and Palm Desert. Early footage of Rancho Mirage and Cathedral City. So it is pretty varied, and as Melissa was saying, really our goal here is to give a much broader sense of what this location has meant historically than you get if your only exposure to it is Frank Sinatra and modernism, because I think there's just so much more to this area.
Yeah. So it's called Holiday Oddities with Deserted Films on December 20th. So why do you call it that? And how long are these? Are these all pretty short? Are you talking 15, 20 minutes, half an hour? And how do you put these all together?
They're all pretty short. For the most part, the shorter reels, the home movie reels, are between 3.5 minutes, and some of the longer ones are up to 20 minutes. We excerpt things that we think are going to be particularly useful for the audience and interesting to the audience. And we also kind of divide the show into categories. And so we have a section on, funny Santa Claus moments where, you have home movies of kids sitting on Santa's lap in the mall. This is a really common subject. Yeah. And we've just sort of picked out all the ones where Santa is especially, menacing.
Or the kids are crying
and so we do a little bit of that. And we also show some things that aren't besides home movies. We show some little short bumpers that were used in movie theaters in the early days, sort of between films, and we show some advertisements and things like that, just to sort of broaden the appeal a little bit. So it's a lot of short things that are kind of holiday focused. But the key idea here is that these are films that people have not seen, and they're unique and kind of hidden parts of our cinematic history.
Now, do all of these, because I know back in the day, do all these have sound? Because some home family movies didn't have sound. And so do you use any of those? And do you do a narration over top of it?
We usually narrate over the top of it. Sometimes I suppose I fear that people will get tired of us talking. And so on occasion we'll put a little background music, but we sort of like to maintain the integrity of what those people shot and how they produced it. We did find, too late to put in this show, we have found some fantastic holiday films that are narrated by the family that are pretty great. We did include one that we borrowed from another archive from 1937, where they produced a sort of self-contained little narrative with titles and sound and music that they brought in. So a little bit of both. But most movies are silent, and it's also a test to see if people can handle 3 minutes of silence.
Yes, and these days,
and it's sort of built on a model that Melissa and I have been sort of participating in for years. There's this event that happens annually, and we've hosted it here for a few years in a row, called Home Movie Day, where we invite the public to come and to bring their own home movies. And we have a bunch of experts on hand who will inspect those films and clean them and prepare them. And then we project them live in the theater, and people can comment on them. And this is the key. We really like to sort of minimize our narration so that the people in the audience can chime in and recognize things. It's sort of like crowdsourcing in live and in public. And so people will identify buildings, or they'll identify, a particular designer for a dress or an automobile. Or an architect, and it makes it really participatory. And I think really that's the saving grace of it, is that it becomes an activity for everyone involved. Little kids love it because they get to, we
see
have
themselves,
and things like that built in, but they get to kind of play with what's on screen.
And if I may add, also during the program, one of the reasons why at the Cultural Center we choose one of the smaller theaters is because it's more intimate, and it means we'll actually invite people to shout out if they recognize something, or if we have had a hard time identifying something, we'll ask people to just shout it out, which is pretty fun too.
Yeah.
And people are really happy to do it, and also really polite about it.
Oh, that's good.
Which is nice.
So this is a Holiday Oddities with Deserted Films. It's December 20th. Tell people how they can find out more about it, get tickets, and so they can attend.
You can get tickets on the Palm Springs Cultural Center website. You can also look in our website. We have an events page, and we've got tickets, the ticket link there. And those two places. We're on Eventbrite. You can find it there if you just Google us or put us in the search box.
Yeah, and go looking through your attics and bring us films. We would love to.
What a great idea!
Whatever you find.
Yeah, what a great idea. Holiday Oddities with Deserted Films, December 20th at the Cultural Center. Thank you, Devin Orgeron and Melissa Dollman. What a wonderful idea! Nice family event to do for the holidays. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
All right, happy holidays, and we'll talk to you the rest of you the next time on the Desert Scene.
Join us again for the Desert Scene with Bonnie G from Mutual 111. Be sure to visit thedesertscene.com for more show information and mutual111.com for our full library of episodes.